So Paradox Pokemon were introduced in Scarlet and Violet. At first we're supposed to think they're more like evolutionary relatives to the Pokemon they're based on. But later on we find out they're really alternate timeline versions of these Pokemon. Now, Paradox Pokemon come in two flavors. You got your past and your future. Now, as somebody who picked Violet, I gotta admit, the Scarlet Paradox forms are just better. I don't mind the future Paradoxes, but they're kinda...
Everything is chrome in the future!
So what I'm gonna do is redesign 3 Violet Paradox Pokemon, those being Iron Treads, Iron Bundle, and Iron Hands. Starting off with Iron Treads, I wanted to establish pretty early how I wanted to go about all these redesigns. I wanted to keep their concepts true, so I looked through what little I could find in the decks. Something consistent throughout all the future Paradoxes is that they're all smaller than the Pokemon they're based on. And they all have an accent color for their LED displays that shut off while they're inactive or sleeping. I also wanted to give them actual names like Koraidon and Miraidon, while the Paradox codename would be made into their category or species name. For Iron Treads, it's said that when it rolls, it leaves behind trails of scorched earth, so I'm going off the idea that the red LED displays on the wheel give off some form of heat. So instead of LED displays, I'm making these glowing red parts of the armor let out the excess heat that this Pokemon builds up from rolling around at high speeds. I gave these patches of armor a V shape to get that feeling of speed, and also made the nose have that same shape by basing Iron Treads off an armadillo. It felt like a perfect way to stick with the stubby body type, smaller size, the wheel concept, and the V shape going along the armor. For all these redesigns, I'm doing a version where they're on and where they're off, finding a way to organically add those LED accent colors without giving them screens. For the name, I used the same nickname that I renamed my Iron Treads in Violet, Goron Fan. From the Japanese onomatopoeia for the sound of rolling, Goro Goro, this is also where the Gorons get their name from. And obviously from Donphan. And its category is now the Steel Treads Pokemon. With Iron Bundle, I knew I just had to keep the ice bag and the skates. I like that instead of flying, it just skates and propels itself by shooting ice from the bag. For the actual design, I based it off Delabird's beta design, where it has a lot more of that Santa inspiration showing, giving it extra hip feathers for the coat, and white on the flippers for the gloves. While working on the design for the hat, I thought, what if the ball of the Santa hat was just another ice bag? And I just ran with the idea. Now, one thing Iron Bundle does is kind of pop its head up like a jack-in-the-box. And penguins actually have really long necks if you look at their skeleton, so I wanted to just throw that in as something it can do. If there's one thing I regret about the design, it's the beard being chest fluff while showing off the neck instead of being an actual beard like it is on Delibird. And for that sky blue accent color used in Iron Bundle's LEDs, I ended up keeping it in the eyes, belly, and the ice bags. My idea was it basically absorbs moisture in the air as it moves and skates around, and this moisture gets converted in its cold body into slush. And that's what it fires from both bags to propel itself forward. And for the name, again, I'm reusing a nickname that I used in Pokemon Violet. Propellibird, because it propels itself forward using its ice bags. And instead of Iron Bundle, its category is now the Brisk Bundle Pokemon. And last but not least, we have Iron Hands. Now, I was kind of excited for this one because I felt the most confident in this idea from the start. Now stay with me here. At first I looked at Iron Hands and was like, where do I start with this big back defibrillator? And then I had an idea. Have y'all ever seen these before? Now, these are called taiko drums, and they're often associated with characters that have electric-based powers. And why is that? It's because the back ring and taiko drums are iconography of the Japanese god of thunder Raijin. This is also why Thunderous's tail has that shape, and it's even more apparent when you look at its beta design. So with that fact in mind, I'm just going to give away the new category name now. Instead of Iron Hands, it's now Drum Hands. Using the ring connected to the back of its belt, it can control the palm-shaped drums through electromagnetism. and we can also assume it still uses that same power to hover. Now, I didn't want to leave him armless, so since the old hands are now drums, I based the new arms off Makuhita. Another thing I knew I wanted to do immediately was turn the head into a helmet. If you look at Iron Hands, it already looks like it has one on. But also, I had the idea to base it on a different Japanese thunder god, Takemikazuchi, Japanese god of thunder and swords, and also said to be part of the first sumo match recorded in history. It all just comes together. Any Bayonetta 2 fans out there may recognize the name Takemikazuchi as the electric hammer with a taiko drum pattern on it, and said to be converted from a sword by Rodan. For the helmet detailing, I just took the shape of Hariyama's hair and made it into more of a top knot. Beta Makuhita also shows off this same design choice on top of the head. And for the name, we're 3 for 3 on actual nicknames I used in Pokemon Violet, because I don't like the Paradox names. We have Denkiyama, from Denki meaning electricity, and Yama from Hariyama. And that's it. 3 future Paradox redesigns. So what do you think? Do you like my redesigns, or do you prefer the originals? Now, I'm kinda going in Dex order with these, but if there's any Violet Paradox Pokemon you think I should redesign next, let me know in the comments, and I'll see you in the next one.